Welcome to Innovators Unscripted, the podcast for innovators by innovators. Today, Tina and I are joined by the powerhouse of positivity that is Denise Spina, another one of our tried and true Chicago crew from 2024. Denise, thank you so much for coming to chat with us today. We're excited to get into things and share your story. But before we launch, can you share a little bit with us about who you are and where you're coming from?
All right. Hi, everyone. I am Denise. I am from New Jersey, Central Jersey, which, yes, that is a thing. I don't care what anybody else says. Um, Literally, if you looked at a map of New Jersey and like put a pin in the dead center, that is where I am from. And I've been in education for going on my 20th year, and it's really scary to say that out loud, but yeah, I spent 10 years as a classroom social studies teacher, and then I switched gears to the library world to be a media specialist, which is what took me to my current school now. But I'm operating as more of a tech coach these days. So that's my backstory.
Awesome. And we always like to start with a little icebreaker of a browser tab confession because we know innovators are notorious multitaskers and we usually have a lot of different projects and sometimes even identities or hats that we wear. So can you share with us before you jumped on the pod today, how many active tabs did you have in your browser?
Oh, this is such an embarrassing question. So as of 8:30 this morning, I had four separate Chrome windows open on my school account. The main one of those four windows had 23 tabs. Then another one had 14, and then four, and then one. And then there was a fifth window open for my personal account and a sixth window for Lisa Simpson, who is a fake student. And I use that fake student account to test things through a student OU at school sometimes. So she kind of lingers in the background. Um, so yeah.
I
And out
want to
of
hear the story of Lisa Simpson. Is that so? We have I'm a fake. It's her first name is Ima and her last name's fake.
Oh,
That
I
we
love
use
that.
for ours. But is there a story behind Lisa?
Our IT department has created an entire Simpsons family. One is a teacher OU, one is a student OU that's over 18, one is a student over OU that's under 18, et cetera, et cetera. Our SIS system has an entire family of Star Wars characters. I'm pretty sure there's some Harry Potter characters floating around somewhere. So they're the jokesters. But I basically have hijacked Lisa Simpson for myself. So
I love that. That's awesome.
That's hilarious because that's actually the same ones I use because I want them to have siblings. So it's like Bart
yes.
and Lisa and Maggie, and then I have
Yeah.
them all at Springfield Elementary. So it's like now they're like cross-pollinated at different schools, even though school
Perfect.
districts need to have the same names of things, right? So, okay. So the one thing I really wanted to talk to you about, and for our listeners on our podcast, we are all from the Chicago of 2024 cohort. And there were some unforgettable personalities. I think everybody knew about the New Jersey crew. So I need you to start telling us at the very beginning, like tell us about a spinning hat and a goat. I won't explain more. I'm gonna let Denise do that.
All right. So the thing with being a Google innovator is you get a noogler hat. So it doesn't matter what cohort, like that's the thing. You get a noogler hat. And if you don't know what that is, Google noogler, Noogler, and you'll see it's one of those baseball caps in a bunch of different bright colors, in this case, the Google colors, and it has a little spinner on top. And you just spin it around, and it's the whole thing that like you're putting on your thinking cap, sort of a thing, except it's more fun. And I just refused to take mine off for the entirety of the Innovator Academy for a couple of reasons. One, I'm not normally a hat person, but I was like mildly obsessed with this hat. And two, once I put a hat on for any length of time, my hair is just, there's no fixing that. So it just stayed on for a while. And actually, Liz, I'm pretty sure you had yours on for a good chunk of the time.
I did. I figured that was going to be like my only chance to like really wear it for a sustained period of time. It does come out on
Yeah.
hat day at school.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, mine is proudly displayed in my office at school, but I haven't really worn it since the academy, which makes me a little sad, but I get to see it every day when I walk into my office. So it's a nice little reminder of fun times.
I'm like, man, we should have like all worn them on our session today. So tell me where the goat came from. Like, okay, and you have to explain the goat because that was very invaluable and very important. And like that became like our battle cry a little bit. So
Yeah, yeah, the goat, and I'm sure it's going to come up several times in this conversation today. But and I have a funny like addendum to that story as well. So in the Innovator Academy, when you're there, they break you up into groups. And I don't know how they normally do groups, but in our case, we got broken into groups based on the themes that we chose going in. I'm sure I'll be touching upon that more later as well. And then each group gets given a coach, and the coach is somebody who is an innovator who has already gone through the process before. So in my group, oh, and that coach like gives you a name and like becomes your hype person and all that fun stuff. So in my group, our coach um, loves sports and is a big sports card collector. And so he decided to name us the GOATs, going with the acronym that has been used recently for really awesome, legendary athletes, the greatest of all time. So we became the GOAT group. And day one, we sit down, we get introduced to him. He tells us this, and there's a stuffed goat sitting in the center of our table. Um, and he picks it up and squeezes it, and it screams like legit screams. So this thing screams when you squeeze it, and it's hilarious. So we're dying. And so basically at that point, from that point forward, I became a little bit more obsessed with the goat than I was with my Noogler hat. But I'm one of those like anxiety filled people who like has to fill silence all the time. So it just became my thing that every time there was like this silence or lull in the room, I would just grab it and squeeze it so that it would scream and everybody would crack up, and it made me feel a little bit better. And of course, then when we had to do presentations on day 3 and I was like a nervous wreck, I of course brought my emotional support goat up to the podium with me and proceeded to squeeze it right into the microphone. And yeah, so I just sort of became synonymous with the goat. Now, let's fast forward. This was in July of 2024, right? Our academy. So that school year in September of 24, somewhere probably end of September, beginning of October, I start making my usual rounds where I do workroom visits around campus to see how everybody's doing, see if anyone needs any tech help. And I walk into one of the science workrooms, and what is sitting on the table but the same exact stuffed goat right next to the printer? So now I'm dying. Nobody else has any idea why I'm laughing, and I just start squeezing this thing. So now if I ever like need a little chuckle and I'm in that area, I have to walk into that workroom and squeeze the goat.
That is so funny.
that's, you know, what really stands out to me in this whole conversation though is I think it's worth mentioning how much you're highlighting like the whole process of the academy. And I think that's so important for the listeners to hear because it you do sort of build like a community of things that you remember. And I think there were like these design sprints and things where you could hear the room get very quiet, but not like that quiet in a good way where everyone's trying to work on stuff, but that quiet in a space where you're sort of stressed out and you don't know what to do. And then everyone's like nervous. And then you would just hear the goat. And we would just die laughing and be like, okay, we're cool. We're cool.
Yeah,
We got the
everything's
goat.
fine.
So this is like the hype person and didn't even know it, you know, but I like how you're explaining this all from the context of the academy. Let's talk a little bit more about why you went to the academy. Like, what was your main project? What was your goal of what you were trying to look at? You did have a really unique path because you were talking about how like you started in the classroom, you switched over to library. So like then all of a sudden you're at an EdTech academy. So
Yeah.
explain what your entire project and emphasis was.
All right. So bear with me. This is a little bit of a journey. So in the spring of 2024, so we were submitting our applications at that point. I think they were due in like March or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, we were like waiting to find out whether or not we got accepted. And at that point, I was in like the home stretch of my first full school year as a fake tech coach. I will explain. So I work in a regional high school. We're just one huge 9 to 12 entity. We don't have K through 8. We're just 9 through 12. We have 5 sending districts that only go up to 8th grade, and then they send all their kids to us. But at our district, I am one of 3 media specialists, and I made that switch right out of the history classroom. In 2021, we had just fended off a position cut. And it was really an unfortunate time because we had just come off of the pandemic, and our school had also decided that during the pandemic, we were going to take advantage of being closed and do a renovation that was supposed to be in the future, but they're like, you know what, let's just do it now because we're closed anyway. So when this position cut happened, we hadn't even fully reopened yet. So the library was sort of like in this limbo space, and we didn't, not that we didn't have anything to do, but we weren't doing our usual things. And so it sort of seemed like business was slow, and, you know, here comes a position cut. And so we fought that off for the time being. But in that time span, I had also taken a really keen interest in EdTech. I actually kind of got into it a little bit before COVID, and I had started an EdTech master's degree. And part of that degree, which kudos to this professor who put this all together, part of that degree was actually getting Google L1 and L2 certification.
Oh, wow. As
yeah.
part of your degree program.
Yes, it was part of my coursework.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I'm like super thankful for that because I don't know that I would have gotten into this otherwise.
Interesting.
So, you know, all of a sudden now I'm finishing level 2 and the world shuts down. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm working from home now. And as I'm kind of sorting through all that and the school year comes to a close, I decide I'm going to do my trainer certification on my own. And then the following school year was that weird, like hybrid school year. I'm sure you guys went through something similar. Yep. I know every school was a little bit different, but you know the concept. And our library still wasn't finished being renovated either. So we were just in this like weird limbo space, but whatever. Now I'm leaning into this tech stuff and I'm realizing that like, I really like it. I like working with teachers. I like doing PD. I like teaching people EdTech. And so I decided within the next year to take up the certified coach program because now I have L1, L2, I've got trainer. Let me do the coach thing. And I started to really like that concept. And so basically, to make a long story short, the following school year, the 22-23 school year, after, you know, we survived the position cut, I was fully into the EdTech stuff. And my administration basically agreed in the middle of that school year to just let me be a tech coach, even though we didn't have a tech coach and that was not my title. So they just sort of let me do it, which was great for me. I loved it. But that's why I started calling myself a fake tech coach. And when you're someone with imposter syndrome, like I am, it does a real number on your confidence levels. But anyway, we'll swipe that under the rug for now. So if you circle back to the spring of 24, when we're applying for Innovator and waiting for our acceptance, I was almost done with my first full year as a fake tech coach because I had like the half of the prior school year under my belt where I was just like learning what that meant and figuring it out. So this is my first full year as this. And I was kind of like riding this high of like, I love what I do every single day. Like, this is the best job. I have a job that doesn't exist and it's the best job ever. And so in my head, I was like waiting for the Innovator Academy applications to open and thinking, I want to pursue something PD related. I want to help other teachers find a personalized pathway for themselves so that they can find their passion the way I've just found mine. Because I sort of recognized that I was very fortunate in the timing of how everything worked out. And I don't know that I would have landed in this Google space if I had not, you know, been on the receiving end of a lot of that luck. So I was like, there's got to be a way to make this kind of PD, these pathways more accessible, more personalized, like get the word out for teachers. Not that anybody has time to do that, but maybe I can find a solution to sort of fill that a little bit. So that was like my mentality going into my application process, and things just sort of I'll say unraveled after that, which I think we'll get to in a little bit because I know you're going to ask me about my problem statement. Certainly.
Yes. Yeah, we are actually. I love how you. I think our stories kind of run parallel to each other, where you kind of like get bit by like the Google bug when you
Yes.
take, and I fully attribute it to the old L1 test. That was really like, you started a Google account and you had to go in and do all of these tasks. And I remember the first time I took the L1 test and it was over, I was like, no, it's over. I've never enjoyed taking a test so much. I could have done without watching myself do it in the little camera.
Oh my gosh.
Agreed on that part.
Because I did
Yeah.
have to go to the bathroom and I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm cheating. But I remember, and I was like, I've never had so much fun taking a test, and I've never learned so much taking a test, because there were a lot of things in those L1 and L2 exams where you might not necessarily know, but you figure it out. And I think that's part of the design of it, that it's so cool that you did that. And then I did trainer and coach. Similarly, I actually did coach as part of my master's program.
Oh, awesome.
And then that was my whole thesis. But then I was just like waiting, because it's like, now you need the trifecta. You can't have two
Obviously,
and not
yes.
the third.
Exactly.
So I would sign up like every month on that, like sign up here to get notified when it opens.
Yeah. Yeah. And
so,
actually, I remember when I was first like reading into the innovator thing, when I was like, oh, there's three. Clearly, I must have the third.
yes.
And I was like reading into it, trying to figure out if it was something that was applicable to me. And when I noticed that it was really heavy on the design thinking stuff, I was like, oh, perfect. Because in the media center, as a media specialist, which is my actual job title, we have a makerspace. And the whole thing with makerspaces is design thinking. So when I was operating as like an actual media specialist, when I was doing my real job, I did a lot of design thinking with students in classes. So it seemed like a very natural fit. And I was like, perfect, I'm ready. I've got an idea. I got a problem I want to solve. I'm ready for these cohorts to open.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your problem. So we know that when you apply for the Innovator Academy, for those of you that are applying, or for those of you that are alums, you already know this, you need to present a problem of practice that you're hoping to address at the Academy. But we know those problems evolve and hit roadblocks. But Denise, can you talk to us a little bit about what your initial problem was and maybe some iterating that happened?
So I have a confession to make, and I hope I don't get kicked out of the innovator program, but
too late. You're already an innovator. So
no, you can't take it back.
I hope no take backsies. So this confession, my entire innovator application was completely fudged. Ugh. Again, let me explain. So the day the academies got announced and the applications were open, I was like literally ready to dive right in. I have this idea that I want to do with accessible and personalized PD, whatever. I'm like ready. And I'm reading through the application and I see that there's a new twist on our academy, that there's going to be these 5 overarching themes for project ideas. And I read them and I literally started crying, like real tears, because I realized that my idea did not fit any of them. And I read them over and over again, and I'm like, how can I like square peg round hole this? And I didn't know what I was supposed to do at that point, because like I had this idea that I was excited about, and the whole point of the innovator program is to like basically take on a passion project. Like you work on this thing for a year plus. You put in a lot of hours and a lot of effort, and it's not like it's a paid internship or anything. So like you got to love what you're doing. And I'm like, oh my God, I have this thing. I love what I'm doing, but it doesn't fit what they're asking. So now what do I do? I sort of mulled that over for a while. I started talking to other New Jersey innovators, well, potential innovators, people who I knew were also applying from New Jersey. And ultimately, I came to a conclusion that I just needed to take things one step at a time. So step one was applying, which means, all right, I have to focus first on just getting in and not get ahead of myself after that. So I did what any type A, straight A teacher's pet would do, and I gave the answer that they were looking for. So basically, I sort of fudged my problem and made it into something that it wasn't, just so that it would fit one of these themes. And I sort of ran with it. in the application and making the video. And of course, like I did my best. I put everything into it. It wasn't what I wanted to do, but like, okay, whatever, here it is.
You're problem solving. You're problem solving your problem about your problem.
Yes,
You had a
exactly.
problem with your problem, so you had to solve the problem.
Yes. See, you
Perfect.
get it. You get it.
And you did it. You did it like
Yes.
spectacularly.
Yes, thankfully that worked, and I discovered very early in the academy, as I'm sure you guys did when we were hearing this over and over, that most people's projects pivot, and some of them pivot so often and so drastically that by the time they get to the end, it looks nothing like it did when they started. So that's basically what I was setting myself up for, because I knew I was going to end up nowhere near where my problem statement started. And my coach, when I was like stressing through the 3 days of trying to like follow this fake path that I put out for myself, he just kept saying, "This is Dr. Tyler Tarver, by the way. If you guys do not know who he is, please Google him. He is just the most amazing human. He oozes positivity. He's like the best hype man ever. Go follow him on socials, look up Tarver Academy, check out his book, Baller Teacher. He's amazing. And he's also the one responsible for the screaming goat. So duh. But all he kept saying over and over was, just follow your heart, just follow your heart. So I was like, all right, that's what I'm going to do. And so that got me through the 3 days of trying to square peg my round hole. And I just did the whole fake it till you make it thing through the academy, and here I am.
Okay. Now I have to touch on this idea that you're saying you followed your heart and you had a huge passion. How did your heart and your passion lead to like auditing the staff trainings? So I don't
right,
because that's where your project landed,
thing in
right?
the world. I know,
Okay.
Crazy. Yeah.
So tell us a little about that.
So again, you guys probably remember part of the design thinking process over the course of the 3 days was to ideate solutions to our problem. But even before we got to the ideation point, it was a matter of like almost storyboarding our problem. Like we had to like sketch it out into steps of what that problem looked like and what potential fixes we might find along the way. We literally had these like posters of our drawings, and I can't draw for anything, so mine looked terrible. But anyway, we did a gallery walk, and do you guys remember the sticky dots that we got?
The dots.
Yep. We all got a whole bunch of the little dots, and then we got, I think, 1 or 2 big dots each. And we were told to go around through the gallery walk and put little dots on all the things that you liked about other people's ideas. And you hold on to the big dots. Those were your super likes for like, oh, like that's a good point. Like, yes, do that. So when the gallery walk was done, I had 2 big dots along with a bunch of small dots on this one concept on my storyboard, which was that teachers needed stuff off of their plates before anything else. So I had gone into the academy with this idea before I had to fudge my application. I went in with this idea that like I wanted to have some sort of solution for like accessible and personalized PD, but like who has time or energy to take on more PD when like our plates are already overflowing? So like we got to remove something first. So fast forward to after the academy, when we get paired up with a mentor, I'm hashing all this out over lunch with my mentor. And I'm like, I don't really know how I'm going to tackle this. And after about 2 hours of chatting, we sort of landed on, why don't we find a way to like get rid of all of the extra stuff that we call PD, but isn't really PD? Like, I'm sorry, the bloodborne pathogens video that I have to watch every single year, that is not PD. We're calling it PD, but it's not PD. So maybe we can get some of that stuff off of our plates, and that way we have time to do like the good stuff. So yeah, that's how my project sort of evolved into this AI auditing of compliance stuff.
I feel like we need to put a big asterisk next to where you keep saying that you faked your way through your application, because I think about a lot of what they look for in these applications. We don't want people to just be like, oh, I'll just go tell them what they want to hear and I'll get in like Denise.
Right.
Because that's not really what happens. Like,
No,
that's
don't do what
definitely
I
your
did.
perspective and recollection. But like what they're really looking for is determined people who are willing to problem solve, who are willing to like pivot when something doesn't work. They're not just going to hang on to something. And they're looking for that spirit that I am 100 billion% sure came out in your video. Like you being you,
I remember
it's
your
why
video.
you got
Yes.
in.
Oh, Thanks.
So you could have faked whatever. You could have put your original problem in there and just assigned it to a random category. And I'm sure just like you being you and how I know you actually did this work, like there's nothing fake about it. There's nothing fake about your job. There's nothing fake about your project or your application. It is exactly you and exactly perfect and exactly where you're meant to be in this program. And I'm so grateful that we got to go through this whole experience together. But I do want to point out, you mentioned in there a little bit about your Jersey girls, your New
Oh
Jersey
my gosh.
pals.
Yes.
And so you guys came with a crew. There was no
Yeah.
other bundle of humans from a chunk of the world other than the Jersey girls. So can you talk to us a little bit about your crew?
Yes. So, funny story, we actually met like accidentally at the Sunnyvale Symposium. So in 2023, Google brought back the symposiums after obviously the hiatus from COVID. And we all like happened to be in Sunnyvale for that symposium and didn't know each other, even though we were all from the same state and in many cases from pretty close by towns. One day, I think it was day two, we're like sitting at a table at breakfast, and we were sort of making a point to sit at different tables with different people every day to chat and network. And we realized within like 2 minutes that as you're going through the small talk, like, oh, hey, where are you from? We realized we were all from New Jersey, and we sort of like gravitated to this table without even knowing it. And we're like, wait a minute, we're all from New Jersey and none of us have ever met before. Like, what? So obviously from there, we connected, we linked up, we started making a point to seek each other out at conferences, and now some of us will present together. But yeah, when Innovator opened up a year later for applications, a few of us had already been innovators in previous academies, but everybody else were like, yeah, we're going to get in on this. So, and then somehow we all got accepted. Like, oh my God, the day that acceptances came out, we were all stressed out because we were like, what if some of us get in and some of us don't? Like like we were having that like beauty pageant moment where you're like, oh, let's hug the people who didn't win. Like, but thank God we all got in. So we were like, oh yes, now we can all breathe. We can celebrate. We started booking flights together. We decided let's get an Airbnb and just have a whole house and do like what every other Jersey group would do and like make it like a reality TV show. So obviously we were the real innovators of New Jersey. There you go.
I think one of the things that's so compelling for our listeners for this specific podcast is you have explained so many elements of the academy that are so important, like building a cohort in a community. I kind of mentioned that already, like knowing that you have a mentor and someone to lead you on with things. And Tyler is phenomenal, by the way. And having a group and having names and having different systems and different structures throughout the academy. And I think this is really good for people who are aspiring to be in a Google Innovator because they can go through this whole idea. Now, one thing I think the listeners might not know, and I don't know if every Innovator cohort did this previously. It might have been new for 2024, but I really want you to talk about the logo because every cohort designs its own logo, and you won the logo contest, right, for the Chicago group?
Yeah, I don't know how
Yes.
that happened.
Okay. But tell us about the design and like how cool that is because it really does build like a whole, like that's one of those elements of building community as a Google Innovator cohort. So I think that would be, just tell us all about that one.
Okay. This is absurd as well. So kind of embarrassing that as a social studies teacher, I actually before the academy didn't know much about Chicago other than the historical fire from I don't even remember what year it was. That's terrible. I should know that. But I was like, oh, I know that it's the Windy City. Yeah. And I think they have some famous building because most big cities have a famous building. That's all I knew. So I was like, let me just like make something for funsies. And I feel like I did it in a Google slide of all things. Like who designed something in a Google slide? Like that's idiotic. But anyway,
before Canva, I did a lot of my designs in
yeah,
Google
I hadn't really gone all in on Canva yet. So I was like, we're just going to play around in Google Slides. So I took the light bulb and I was like, all right, the bottom of the bulb is like gray and I could maybe turn that into some wind. So it would be like the Windy City. And like, all right, let me look up this famous building. Oh, cool. It is a skyscraper. That could be the letter I. So I just sort of like made this thing, and I tried to stick to something that was really simple because I feel like all of Google's logos are very simple. Like they stick with their primary colors. Everything is like clean, minimalistic lines. I'm like, I can do that. So I just like made this thing. And then because I'm a perfectionist and a psycho and I second guess literally every single thing that I do, I'm like, oh, that's not good enough. I got to make a new version. And before I knew it, I had 5 versions. So when we were like voting as a group, I think I had only submitted one at that point, but when I realized mine was getting like higher votes than people liked it, I was like, oh, all right, well, let me make some other versions. And then if this one gets chosen, they can pick the version that they like. So I think version 3 is honestly what we landed on, which I don't even think was my favorite, but who cares? Like other people liked it. Great. Let's go for it. But this is funny. I don't know if you want to cut this part out or not, but after the fact, when I was with the New Jersey group and we were all like talking about it, a few of them started to poke some fun at me because they said that all they could think about when they saw the wind part of the logo is that it looks more like smoke than wind. And so they just keep associating our logo with like something Snoop Dogg would have done on a Chi-Town vacay.
I was like,
oh, that's funny. We have it on. So here we have our little trading cards. This is your trading card from the Academy, and the logo. Oh,
we can't see it.
The background sticking out, but you know what? We'll put it in the YouTube video. We'll put your logo in to make sure that everyone gets a chance to see it.
Yes, it's cool wind. Thing. It's wind. I promise, it's wind.
Well, I mean, that must have helped too when you said like you're notorious for imposter syndrome. For you to walk into the Academy and be like, yeah, I made that. Like that must have been like a little boost.
Yeah,
to that confidence bit. Walking in.
Yeah, for my great graphic design work in Google Slides.
I think I love Google Slides for designs. That's fine. So let's start to wrap up. This is such a great conversation, such a great story. I think this is going to be such a valuable episode for our aspiring innovators, and then for obviously anyone from our crew who wants to reminisce about the great times, especially with your real innovators of New Jersey. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yes.
Real world. So if you were going to design a logo for what EdTech is now in 2026, what might you include in that logo? No graphic design skills necessary. You can just use your words.
Yeah, well, I already designed a logo, so been there, done that. All right. So if I had to make a logo of EdTech and what it means, I feel like it would be a teacher with a superhero outfit. And their special tool is a piece of tech, kind of like the way Spider-Man's special tool is like the web, or Wonder Woman has that rope thing.
Yep.
To me, that's really what it's all about, because I truly believe educators are superhuman and do heroic work and acts of service every single day. And they've got special powers, empathy, patience, kindness in spades. And then they have that one special item that really helps boost them up another level. And I think that's the EdTech. Educators are superheroes without the EdTech, but with it, goats.
Nice. I like how we wrapped it all up with goats.
Of course. I started with the goat, got to end with the goat.
Perfect way to wrap things up. We're going to take what you just said and put it in Nano Banana and end the YouTube version with what comes out, since we've advanced from slides and now we have Nano Banana.
Oh my God.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Have it put me in like some yoga pose, like I'm doing goat yoga or something.
Yes, even better. There will be a goat. There will absolutely be a goat.
Oh my God.
So where can people find you? And is there anything else coming up right now?
So I actually keep most of my socials private, but my LinkedIn is the best way probably to reach me. Denise M for Michelle, that's my middle name. Denise M Spina. So feel free to connect that way. Send me a message. I'm pretty good about responding to those things. But otherwise, if you're in New Jersey, if you're around New Jersey, I've been presenting at a lot of different conferences. The last year I've presented on my innovator project at several, New Jersey Texpo, which takes place in January every year. I think we just had the 3rd annual NJ AI Literacy Summit, was in December. So I presented my innovator project there. Very, very soon, like very soon, on the NJEA's website, that's the New Jersey's teachers union. They're going to be posting an article that I wrote about this, and it'll be in the print version of the NJEA review in the coming months, but it'll be available online sooner than that. So I'll hopefully be posting the link to that as soon as I have it on my LinkedIn. So if you see it, you can have a read and see what my project was all about and share it out. And hopefully schools will start to like catch up and be like, yeah, we should maybe stop assigning teachers 17 video trainings of the same stuff every single year so they can do meaningful work. That's my hope.
That's awesome. So we're going to wrap up now for sure. If you want to be an aspiring innovator, I really hope you listen to this one because Denise has made it sound as fun as it really was. And she was probably one of the most fun people at our cohort. Stay connected, stay inspired, and keep it unscripted.